Hey y'all, it's Brody, and
Will.
this is Will.
Hi.
You might recognize them from some of the other videos that we've done together.
I've done two.
Two. Potentially. Three.
Well, now this is three.
Three. This is number 3.
Yes, it is.
And if you remember anything about Will from past videos, you are something of a comic book historian.
Yes, I am the comic book historian.
So, I have brought my boyfriend Will in for your expertise.
Okay.
Because
my expertise.
Today we're gonna shit talk the worst X-Men film ever made, I think.
Ooh, no. We're not gonna call it the worst X-Men film ever.
The most disappointing X-Men film.
Ooh, no, not even that.
If you can't tell from the title of this video, this is going to be the second in my book versus movie series. The first one I did was Bird Box. So you can go check that out. I will link it upstairs and downstairs. Today
New Mutants.
We're discussing it. Are you ready? I'm not ready.
Oh, I'm ready.
Okay.
The story of the Demon Bear Saga deals with Danielle Moonstar, once known as Psyche, known as Mirage, and then finally known as Moonstar. She is a native Cheyenne who possesses the mutant ability to pull out your deepest fears, your desires, and manifest them into basically into illusions. In a nutshell, Danny lost her parents. She doesn't quite remember how. They went out somewhere. They never came back. And there was the story of a demon bear that had hunted them to death that was currently haunting Danny. That story was early on in the New Mutants run, and it kind of led the New Mutants into a very supernatural arena, which was very away from the X-Men. At the time, the X-Men were more sci-fi based. She ends up confronting the demon bear, and it injures her badly and ends up putting her into a coma. Interestingly enough, for the story to rotate around the character of Danielle Moonstar, in the comics she spends very little time conscious. It's basically her teammates that are fighting the demon bear. I don't really want to ruin the concept, or the storyline for it. Let's just say that the original storyline does not sync up with the movie.
I'm here to tell you about the plot of the movie.
Okay, go ahead. And that's it.
We'll talk about that. We'll talk about it.
Okay.
This is going to be a long video.
It is.
I have a lot to say.
But each one of the characters in the movie actually represented a teen archetype from the movie. Elements of the movie, to me, seemed very Dream Warriors. Like, it lifted a lot from the Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors is my favorite slasher film of all time. If you don't know, basic summary, Freddy is like doing his thing and killing teenagers, except they're all in a mental hospital for sleep disorders. This, the director has said he directly pulled influence from Dream Warriors, as well as like John Hughes films. Mm-hmm. So that's why you have the beats of both. Mm-hmm. The question is, did he pull any beats from the comic book? I don't think he did.
Very easily, this movie could have been titled anything other than The New Mutants. The only thing that it had in common with it was the characters' names.
Yeah.
Honestly. I'll let you carry this part.
Okay.
Because this is the film part, and honestly, you're more versed in horror than I am. So I'm going to let you carry that part, and then maybe I'll chime in with the comic book elements of it.
Oh, baby, this wasn't horror. So the film starts with one of the most confusing opening sequences I've ever seen. It's like Danny wakes up, and there is something destroying her reservation. And her father, like, grabs her and is like, oh, you have to go. Like, you have to go hide here. And then he gets killed by this mysterious entity that's, like, destroying an entire reservation. Then Danny passes out and wakes up in a hospital.
Some indeterminate amount of time later.
Yeah, it's never addressed how she got to the hospital, who brought her there, how long she's been passed out. I was thinking throughout the entire film, maybe this is her coma and she never woke up. But that was not the case. Well, I don't know, maybe, because this was supposed to be the first of a trilogy of films that are never going to happen now because of the Fox-Disney merger.
Yeah.
So. Did you understand what was going on in the opening of this film? At all?
It was a cold open. It didn't bear any relation to the comic. All that I knew was that something was going on, and that Danny's father was trying to get her out of there. Now, because I know about the story of the demon bear, and because we knew in advance it was going to deal with the demon bear, my assumption was that it was the demon bear doing it. But in the course of the movie, it's alluded to the fact that it was nothing more than a tornado.
My thing is, at the opening, we get this legend of, like, there are two bears inside of you. And one is, like, the demon bear who has all of your fears and your darkness and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And Danny has a necklace that has a bear on it. It's like a bear carving that her father made her that's supposed to represent her demon bear, because it's small and that's how much her fear should be.
Right.
Which never really came into play. They mentioned it a couple times, but it was just kind of there. So she wakes up, and Dr. Reyes...
Cecilia Reyes, whitewashed.
What's her power? What's her thing?
Force fields.
Okay. Is she... She's not in this. I don't know where she came from, why they pulled her. This is going to be spoilery. We're going to talk about it. Is she a bad guy in the comics?
In the comics, she's an X-Men.
She's not a bad guy.
She's not a bad guy. And technically, she's not a combat X-Men. She is technical support.
So Danny wakes up in the hospital, and Dr. Reyes says, "Hi, Danny. You're at my weird hospital in the middle of the woods now. Because you're a mutant, and I'm going to help you
master your powers."
Yeah, like not harm yourself and others.
Yeah.
Okay.
One really cool, and I have to say this was really cool, where Dr. Reyes actually says maybe rattlesnakes are more dangerous because they don't know how to measure the amount of venom that they use. Mm-hmm. And it alludes to a mutant, first experiencing their powers. They don't know how to control it. They can be dangerous. I also thought it was really cool that what was happening in the film was that she had alluded to the children, or fostered the illusion that she was going to help them become X-Men.
So after we get introduced to Dr. Reyes and we figure out where the fuck Danny is, which I still really don't understand, we get introduced to the rest of the cast, the rest of the New Mutants, of which there are 4 others. Were there originally only these 5 in Demon Bear? Because I thought that there were a couple of more that got cut.
They cut Karma. No, really, that's the main.
Wasn't there another one called Magma or something?
Oh my gosh, I forgot about Magma, but I was forgetting about Magma.
So we have Danny Moonstar.
Right.
We have Rain Sinclair.
Right. Wolfsbane, yes.
Who is basically a werewolf.
She can transform into a wolf.
Ileana Rasputin.
Magic.
What's her power?
Her mutant power is to teleport by going through a dimension known as Limbo. Her alternate power is that she's also half demon. There's a whole storyline that deals with that, so she can summon her mystical armor and her soul sword. Which
was not mentioned in the film.
They didn't explain the soul sword or the armor.
Okay, and then we have Sam Guthrie.
Cannonball, who can generate a thermodynamic reaction within his body that channels downwards and forces him forward like a cannonball, also making him invulnerable, which was another problem in the movie, because he spent most of the movie wearing a cast.
We have Roberto da Costa.
Yes.
What's his power?
Sunspot. Actually harnesses solar energy and uses it to increase his strength. Originally, that's what it was in the comics. During this time period, that's all he could do. However, in the movie, they manifested it as flame, when in fact, it's just his body absorbing all the solar energy around him, so it turns him completely black. Which was the only time in the movie that he was black.
So that's our characters. Those are the only characters in the film.
Yes.
That's it. So somehow, this entire hospital runs with Dr. Reyes being the only person keeping the lights on. She's the only one who cleans. It's implied that Roberto is like the chef / dishwasher.
Or was it a chore? It was that was also,
It doesn't logically make sense to me, and I understand this is an X-Men film. You have to suspend your disbelief. You couldn't have had like some background people.
It was empty. The movie felt empty. It felt like an afterthought.
And here's my thing. What could have fixed a lot of this movie for me would be having like 3 more characters.
Exactly.
Have 3 more bad guys who had like brainwashed Dr. Reyes, or were controlling her or something, who are like, and I'm the chef, but really I'm Explodey Man. You know what I mean? What happens next is Ileana gets assigned to show Danny around the
complex.
Yeah, the hospital. Whatever.
The abandoned hospital in the middle of nowhere.
During which Ileana shows
some HBIC tendencies and goes against the character because she says several things that are very racist.
I think Ileana is a very damaged character who knows how to hit people where it hurts.
Mm-hmm.
She was being racist in the film. She was saying racist things.
But they were to trigger Danny.
Yeah, it was like, let me say something for shock value to get you pissed off. However, I feel like in the film, it was kind of played for laughs or shock factor.
Yeah.
Because it's like, no one goes in there expecting her to call Danny Standing Rock. She's like, yo, Danny, do you know how to grow weed? No? What kind of Indian are you? Cheyenne? I really don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
And then Danny tries to commit suicide.
Yes. This is actually one of the more touching scenes in the movie. And it brings me to a point that I really, really did appreciate in this movie. In the comics, another aspect of Danny's powers, and this is also just some... This is just some indigenous person stereotype, and I don't like it, but she has a connection to animals. Ooh. And because Rain Sinclair transforms into a wolf, when she does transform into a wolf, they do have a psychic connection. In the comics, this was never more than just another way for them to communicate. However, the movie led it into a lesbian romance. It was very skillfully done. It was very natural. The way that everything like, I'm getting goosebumps because I actually thought that several aspects of their relationship were really beautiful, and you can see how they planned on expanding on it. You know that I cried.
Yeah.
There's just this one line. I don't think it's a spoiler. I can say the line, can't I?
Yeah, say it.
Okay. Where she goes...
She's like about to jump off.
Yeah, she's about to jump off, you know, a chapel building and everything. And Rain holds out her hand and says, "Let's live a little longer, Danny." And honestly, that brought some tears to my eyes. It really did.
So I like the fact that they made them a sapphic thing. Like, it's a sapphic relationship. However, my only issue with the way it was developed, because personally I felt like it was a little underdeveloped.
It was.
And I understand it's supposed to be part one of a 3-part whatever. But the thing with Danny and Rain, they have their psychic connection only when Rain is in her wolf form.
Yes. At
the point where they were like making like
googly eyes.
Like they weren't in, like Rain was not in her wolf form. Right. We did not know that Rain was actually like Jacob Black. We did not. I feel like we didn't know what a lot of their powers were.
They're very ill-defined.
Yeah, where it's like, okay, it showed us Rain turning, like, wolfing out a couple of times.
Yeah, but even that was never, I mean, that should have been that was an opportunity for them to really go full out with special effects.
We will get to the special effects later.
Okay.
But I feel like, with everyone except Ileana, the special effects were just kind of like, meh. Ileana's special effects were great. But as far as, like, other characters' powers, it was like kind of not bland. Like, I liked the way they looked, but I wished all of them would have had the same attention to detail as Ileana's were. I feel like this was not a Danny Moonstar movie. This was like an Ileana film. They
gave her a lot of "I am the bitch in charge" lines. There's several times where it's just she's meant to be the badass, and they kind of hammer it into you that she is the badass.
Which I think works for her as a character. I just don't... It wasn't explained. And I understand maybe they were going to give her like a Logan type thing where it was like, here's your little prequel-y backstory in a later film or whatever, but that's not happening. So this is why I always say a work should be able to hold up on its own.
Yes.
Anyway, we get introduced to all the characters. Danny almost kills herself. Rain saves her. What happened at all after that?
Speculation. We get them sitting in a circle. We get them discussing or attempting to discuss who they are, what they are. That was a perfect opportunity for us to get to know the characters. It was wasted because we find very little out about anybody on the team.
Here's my problem with the way they handled the characters' backstories, because I feel like after this, it's just like, let me give you a hint of a character's backstory with some special effects up until you get to the final battle. That's basically what the rest of the movie is. So, who was the first one we get? Was it Cannonball?
Yes.
So, he is sitting in like a laundry room with Roberto. And at some point, because you see also from the perspective of Dr. Reyes, who has cameras everywhere and is watching all of them and monitoring their psionic levels, that Danny's psionic levels are going like
off the charts.
Like, it's like, you need to pay attention to this bitch. Sam just randomly decides to go stare into a dryer, and there he's like teleported into this mine, and all of these miners are like just pickaxing away, and then he gets to the end of the tunnel, and it's his father there. And then the mine collapses. And that's all of the backstory that we get from Sam, basically. Later, he talks about how he set off the mine and killed a bunch of people. Right. Which is not comic book
Which
accurate.
is not accurate at all.
But, I liked the way that they handled Sam's character. I feel like other than Rain, Sam was the character that I felt the most for.
Sam, in the comic books, Sam's powers did manifest in the mine. However, his father was already dead. Sam was meant to go to college, but because his father died, he had to step up being the eldest of the Guthrie clan and join working in the mines. Now, there was a mine collapse, but it had absolutely nothing to do with Sam. He was trapped with his father's best friend, and all of that fear finally triggered his mutant ability, and he blasted out of the cavern with his father's friend with him. Now, again, Sam's powers cause him to be invulnerable when he's blasting. The cast, he always looked injured in the movie, and it's like, that's just not how his powers worked.
We also get a little bit of Ileana's backstory, where she's like, I killed 17 men one by one, and that's it. Yeah. That's all that Ileana ever says about her past. Ileana, I think, has one of the most interesting pasts.
Yes, because you see, she is the sister of a longtime X-Men, Colossus, and what was alluded to in this movie was that she was a victim of, like, child trafficking. That was a lot of the vibe that I got from it. And then I even Wikipedia'd, because I was like, this whole movie confused me, and I just needed to know what was going on.
I was like, man, this is a Wendy's.
Exactly. Even the demons that were haunting her that kind of resembled Slender Man.
Yeah, they were like the Collector meets Slender Man.
Collector meets, and they were called the Smiley Men. I could even see how the Smiley Men were kind of a child dealing with child traffickers. That's how a child would remember them. A whole bunch of smiling men that meant her harm. So I could kind of see that, and it was interesting, but it doesn't tie into the character, especially considering how this movie was supposed to tie into the X-Men universe. You know, her brother's a member of the X-Men. Where was he? Where was he? Exactly.
Next is Rain, I think. Rain is the next one that we get some kind of backstory for. Rain's backstory, to me, is really tragic. We don't really get much explained, but we know that she's in the shower, and Danny's levels start going off the charts, and then someone opens the door, and it's a priest with a hot brand saying, like, you won't get away from me again, or something. It's addressed earlier in the film that Rain has, like, a W mark on her neck that's branded on that they think is a tattoo, and she's like, I don't want to.
It was actually on her. It was actually here on her shoulder. It is explained that Rain is the child of Reverend Sinclair, they actually name him, and a prostitute. But she doesn't know her history. She doesn't know that she's, you know, his daughter. But she found joy in her mutant power, running as a wolf, and you know, Reverend Craig saw this happen, and she showed him, and that triggered his fundamentalist Christian beliefs to brand her as a witch and to attempt to kill her. That is actually comic canon.
Then we get some, like, fun dance sequences where they say, like, okay, we're going to drug Dr. Science Lady, and...
Dr. Science Lady. Dr. Reyes.
We're going to drug Dr. Science Lady, and we are going to have some fun. And they play, like, a lie detector game, and they dance, like, the Breakfast Club, and...
That scene was totally lifted out of
the
Breakfast Club and Umbrella Academy.
It also had parallels to Umbrella Academy, too. You have, like, this Umbrella Academy, Breakfast Clubby...
dance sequence.
Yeah, it's a dance number. And
it's just filler.
Yeah, but it's cute, and it shows them having fun and being teenagers, which I appreciate, because it's like, we have to, like, have some fun in this weird, fucked up thing, and it wasn't just a dark film. Like, there were moments of lightness in it that I think is suitable, because I've read interviews where they say they want this to feel like a teen film. We also get a little romancy scene between Danny and Rain, where they're just, like, laying out at night, and I don't know why the force field is changing colors, but it's like, I think it's the dew is falling on it or something. It's
never explained.
It's not touched on at all. And Ileana and Roberto are having, like, a little flingy thingy in the pool, where his backstory is revealed, which they completely changed once again. So Roberto, in the comics, his powers manifested during a racial attack, right? Like, someone is attacking him because of his...
skin color.
Yes.
His skin color.
And in the film, he's just like, I got too horny and set my girlfriend on fire.
Roberto was the son of a wealthy Brazilian, an Afro-Brazilian and a European Brazilian woman. He was referred to he was playing soccer, or it was a big soccer game, and one of the opposing teams basically called him a half-breed and said, no matter how much money your father has, you have the skin color of an animal. Okay? This was brutal. And in the comic, they actually show him getting beaten and the guy getting progressively more and more racist. And then Roberto's powers kick in. Everybody sees it. His girlfriend, Juliana, is the only one who stands by his side. So, to take a character whose origin is explicitly tied to his ethnicity and to give it to a, yes, the actor is Brazilian, okay? Kudos for you for getting a Brazilian person. You have a picture?
I have a picture of Roberto. Is it gonna... There we go. Right there in the middle.
Yeah. Okay? To give it to a European Brazilian and have the lame duck excuse that he saw 300 different actors and this actor was the best one, I can almost accept that. Almost. But then he followed it up with, I wanted to go with someone who looked like their father could be wealthy.
Yeah,
that just spit in the face of every single Afro whatever person, dark-skinned person whose family does have money. Basically what he said was, you can't look like you have money if you're dark-skinned. And this is the second time that they have whitewashed the character of Sunspot. In Days of Future Past, they used another Caucasian Latino person to play the character of Sunspot. It's horrible.
This is a review of the content of the film as a comic book adaptation, and these are the places that it failed. So that's basically where it goes off the rails. You get these characters' backstories in little snippets, non-existent backstories, and then you get the big final fight sequence where Ileana and Cannonball are dealing with the Smiley Men, who, when I looked at the Wikipedia, said that they were demons who haunted Ileana in Purgatory.
Okay.
Which was never brought up.
Okay.
You're just over it. You're done.
Hand me my bag.
You're over it. And Rain fighting her...
Reverend Craig.
Yeah. It's also brought up during the psionic level thing, we didn't talk about this, that Cecilia Reyes is working for...
the Essex Corporation. Essex is a big thing in the mutant world because it's the name of Mr. Sinister, Dr. Nathaniel Essex, who instructed Dr. Reyes that Danny was too powerful and she was to be killed.
So, Rain goes to look for Danny because she's like, Danny's missing and things are going to shit, and finds Dr. Reyes trying to kill her.
Yeah.
So Rain wolfs out and attacks Dr. Reyes, who limps away.
Mauls Dr. Reyes.
Who limps away.
Yes.
And goes somewhere to, like, the intercom system. What's Roberto doing at this point? Can we remember?
No.
He's, like, fighting another Smiley Man or
Probably.
something? Yeah, it's very discombobulated. Danny is also unconscious, finally, at this point, where the Demon Bear comes in.
And snatches up Dr. Reyes.
And it's just like...
Yeah, and Dr. Reyes is gone. The Demon Bear looks fantastic.
Yes.
The way that they depicted the bear, gorgeous. The fight sequence with Ileana and the Demon Bear, legend, because that was actually lifted right out of the comic, the way that she confronted it. Okay. What did you like?
I liked...
One thing that you liked.
You do yours first, sweetie.
Okay.
I need to think about it for a second.
Right. One thing that I liked about the movie was the relationship between Danny and Rain. I wanted more of that. Honestly, I thought that was the best portrayal because it wasn't tragic, it wasn't comedic. There was nothing that drove either one of them away from men, which is standard. It was just, they happened to like each other. So it was natural and it was positive. That was gorgeously done. One thing that I disliked about the movie, the whitewashing of characters and the emptiness of the film. This felt more like a student film than an actual big studio release because of the smallness of the cast.
I liked the feel of it. Like, I liked that I knew where they were referencing. So, like, I love Dream Warriors, so I like the Dream Warrior references. I love, like, John Hughes films, so I like the John Hughes film references. That being said, I do not think that you can take the X-Men and put them in Pretty in Pink roles into a Freddy Krueger movie. It does not work.
Okay.
My main dislike with the film, I did not like how things were led up to, where it's like, here is what the character is scared of, because that's Danny's power, but we don't tell you why the character is scared of this. We don't tell you why Ileana is scared of these smiley men, or why Cannonball is scared of mines. Like, it's brought up in a way that you get to know something about the character, but not in a way where you understand anything about the character. So that was my main issue with it that I had.
And that's it. Demon Bear, or actually, sorry, New Mutants movie. It is not the worst X-Men movie. It is meh. That is the best way to put it. It wasn't very bad. It wasn't good, and it wasn't very bad. It was just mediocre.
I feel like the reason I feel like it's so bad is because Will and I have been waiting to see this movie together for 3 years. I will leave articles linked down below where you can read about the delays of the film, but we've been waiting for 3 years, and it got... I feel like my expectations were too high.
Yeah. I expected better. I got what I got. I expected better. I didn't get better. I got...
Meh. Yeah. Alright, thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed, make sure you leave us a thumbs up and subscribe and put that notification bell so we can pretend that does anything. Comment question of the day. If you were a mutant, what would your power be? What would your power be?
I would have wings like the X-Men Angel. Not Archangel, but angel. I would want to fly on my own self-powered wings.
Okay, that's a good one, because you're my angel. I think my mutant power, if I got to pick one, would be probability manipulation.
Ooh, you and Scarlet Witch.
Sure. The other Olsen sister. The only one that's still working. Or I would want the little dragon that Liana had that was not explained at all. That's Kitty Pryde's pet dragon that was not explained at all. I would want a pet dragon.
Okay.
Okay. If you don't want to answer the comment question, you don't have time, or you don't have the spoons, you can leave me an emoji, preferably a
yellow heart.
Yes. Are they allowed to leave me yellow hearts now?
Of course they are. Yeah, because I switched mine up. Now I leave you a yellow heart. No, I'm not going to say what I leave because somebody's going to do it.
Don't tell them. Leave me a heart emoji so I know that you made it all the way until the end. All of my social medias will be down below. My Instagram, my Twitter. Places you can go support me further. Go follow me on all of that. And thank you for watching.
Yeah, I don't have the energy. This movie tired me out so much. I can't even zoom.
You're not going to zoom?
I can't zoom.
Just flop. No zooms, just flops. That's what this film was. It was a flop. Alright, I hope you have a wonderful whatever it is, wherever you are. I will see you next time with another video where we hopefully will not be shit-talking something. Alright. Hopefully. Thank you for watching. Okay, cool. Bye. Flop. 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 Oh my god, this movie was so bad. Okay. Ooh. Okay. Did that feel cathartic to you?
Yes. The most enjoyable thing about this movie was talking shit about it at the end.